GM friends, I'm down here in Sarasota, Florida at St. Armand's Circle, joined by the one and only Jake Newman.
What's up, everybody?
He's one of my favorite smart contract developers, really doing a lot of cool experimentation, and just wanted to do a little walk and talk video and get into it with him. So
Thanks for having me, dude. Looking forward to this.
yeah, thank you. So I guess first off, what are some of the you primarily working with Solidity contracts, but you're also doing other contracts on other blockchains as well.
Yes, but it's primarily Solidity. Even the other blockchains, well, I've done some Solana stuff, but I would say my forte right now is Solidity.
Yeah, and that just for me, Solidity is where the volume is. That's where the price action and where you can really scale things up.
Yeah, Solana has volume too, but you don't have the customization isn't there. You can't go and get in on the code. It's still pretty proprietary. It seems a lot of the launch pads.
Yeah, exactly. What are some of the experiments that you've been running lately? I know you've been cranking out a lot, mainly for other projects and teams. But what are some of the things that you've been experimenting on? Where have you seen successes, and where do you see opportunities as we head into this bull run?
So I think there's huge opportunity within a lot of these L2s. I don't know which L2 is going to happen yet. I don't know which L2 is going to pop. I happen to like the Polygon, the Matic token. There's also AVAX, heard good things about the base chain. Basically, any of these L2s that have low gas, eventually gas isn't going to get any cheaper as the bull run goes. People are still going to be looking for ways to exponentiate their gains. There's ways to move ETH tokens in and out of through these bridges. I think that's where the next game change is going to be, because people are, in my opinion, I got nothing bad to get against Solana, but I think it's going to have a shelf life. I think there are going to be bugs there's going to be limitations that come in because of its proprietary nature. It's not as open source as a lot of the other projects, and as such, there's limited functionalities. There's going to be limited innovation, where the rapid innovation is going to be coming in on the L2 and the Ethereum blockchain.
Yeah, and one of the things I've noticed is, I guess some of the drawbacks of Solana, and I've done Twitter threads on this, is it's not really decentralized yet, and there's a lot of things that they're working on. They have outage issues. But one of the things I love about Solana is it's such a great entry point. Last bull run, we saw it primarily with NFTs, and now we're seeing it with fungible tokens.
It is good for onboarding because it gets people to understand how the basics of it. Mm-hmm. It's different. I mean, it's very much apples and oranges to Ethereum, but at the end of the day, it's blockchain and it's crypto.
Exactly, and it allows people who are coming in, especially younger people who are only trading with like $50 of disposable income. They can trade on a chain like Solana where there's not gas fees.
You do $10 with Solana.
Yeah, you do $10 of disposable income and just kind of trade in and get the experience of being in cryptocurrency and not having to pay $25 for gas fees to interact with the smart contract.
To make a $100 purchase where you're down 25% from the get-go, so you needed to go up 50 to 100% in order to make your 25 back.
Yeah, it's so that's what I say as far as a big benefit to Solana and some of these other blockchains. But we also on Ethereum, we have that with layer 2s. I know you've been doing a lot of stuff with Polygon
so
in particular.
So one of the experiments that I've been doing is the moment this ERC404 thing popped off, I wanted to do experiments with it, like anyone. But I don't care, rich or poor, I ain't spending that amount on gas on anything. And I ain't rich, so I'm definitely not doing that. But I realized Polygon is a direct clone of Ethereum. There are others. So all I did was took some sample 404 contracts, threw them into Polygon, did some compiling, it ran, it worked, it executed, it launched. It was a thing. You can 404 on Polygon for fractions of the price. That is a potentially brand new ecosystem for 404s. The entire gas thing with 404s on Ethereum, not existent on Polygon with the exact same results. And it's bridgeable.
Yeah, and a lot of things that I know you've been playing with and some of our other developer friends have been playing with, especially like with that 404 contract structure, is just doing modifications to it, trying out tax, tax on the fungible tokens.
That's how the 404 thing came about. It came about from developers saying, we have this standard, we have this standard. Let's throw them all. Let's mash it up and see what happens. And they're doing what I love to see done and what I love to do myself. They're experimenting in public. They're letting they're letting everyone see the successes, the failures. They're taking feedback from the community. They're iterating and they're continuously developing it. And that's what I like to see. And I've seen some iterations of 404s where there's tax mechanisms that are implemented that act as sort of royalties to the NFT creators. And I think there's going to be an explosion of these hybrid standards and experimental standards because now people realize it's possible.
Yeah, and for those of you who aren't aware of like this recent ERC404 craze, which isn't really an ERC, and even if it was, it would be 404. But
it's its own thing.
But
they made their own thing, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, led by Control and a few other developers. The pseudonymous individual goes by Control.
There's also a 0x on their GitHub. There's 3 contributors that are there.
Correct. Yeah.
0x Alpha.
Yeah, Alpha. I've talked with him on Spaces.
Yeah. Cool dude.
Yeah, and it's fun to watch developers experimenting with new concepts. And what this one does is it takes the benefits of a fungible token, which is liquidity, and especially liquidity pools, and it gives you an NFT that has that same liquidity factor to it, which is the major gripe about NFTs is they're highly illiquid assets. We saw that last bull run.
So just to clarify that, Drew, you're saying that ERC404s are tokens that have built-in liquidity pools into them, so those who hold them are actually part owners of the pool.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they have the token side of it. The fungible token side has Uniswap pools, primarily V3, the newer version of Uniswap, but there are some on V2 as well that have been able to roll out. We haven't really seen any with taxes on it on the fungible tokens. Have you?
I've seen a few projects that do taxes on 404s. They didn't seem to. They weren't coming on, but they existed. The code was working. It is possible. It's just there has yet to be a project that kind of successfully justifies it or has been successful with it yet.
Yeah. So the way these projects have been making money is either buying up supply or withholding supply and selling it into the liquidity pool, or just also making that 1% transaction fee on the Uniswap V3 pool, since they're primarily V3 based.
And since the volume of it is so huge, that 1% on the UV3 is enough. Because think about it, if you got $10 million of volume running through a V3 pool, it's 1% of 10 million. I'm not going to do that math right now because I'm smoking, but it's a lot, right?
It's a lot. Yeah, so like Pandora, which was the first one by Control and his group, did $75 million of volume a day there, in the initial.
What was that, 75 grand a day? 750 grand a day?
750 grand.
750 grand a day. Yeah, that's not chump change, so you don't really need taxes for that. And so speaking on UV3 pools, that is another amazing benefit of these L2s, these Polygon network, Polygon, AVAX, take your pick. It doesn't support it by all of them. You can, so while it'll cost, so today, even gas moderate, it would cost like $100, $150 to launch a CA, and if you want to mint a V3 pool. When I did one yesterday, it cost about $350, and that's when gas was in the 20 Gwei range. So when you do that on Polygon, it costs 3 cents, not 30.
That's crazy difference.
3 cents. So one of the things that we did with the J&E token is we applied to the official Polygon proof of stake network. So there's 2 Polygon networks. One is an open source one that anyone can join. You don't even need to apply. and then you have the one that you apply. Now the one that applies has more volume, etc. So even though there's little volume there, the other one has less volume. We applied to Jake Newman Enterprises. Our JNE token got accepted and is now bridgeable into Polygon. So what we did is we bridged a bunch of our tokens into there, set up one-sided V3 pools, and people are starting to buy them up. The pools are filling up. People are buying our tokens because they know it's bridgeable right back into Ethereum. So they're accumulating slowly with no gas fees. And then once they get enough and it's worthwhile, they bridge over, cash out. And or they can even cash out there and then bridge the ether over, or whatever have it. We have Tether, all sorts of different pairs. And because when it costs 3 cents to launch a pool, you want to launch as many pairs as possible. The advantage of that is it creates daisy chains, and the price differences between the Uniswap pools. Uniswap will always route a buyer to the most efficient route. So you can be collecting multiple percents on a purchase if it's beneficial to you and the buyer.
And
On the spreads.
and then plus you have a lot extra volume, transaction volume, because MEV bots take care of arbitrage opportunities when somebody buys into one pool and there's a price difference between that and the other pools. There'll be buys on those pools by these MEV bots, and on Polygon, since there's such low gas, they can do that at a much rapid pace and a lot more transactions through those to level it out.
Because a MEV bot will spend $30 in gas and throw $1,000 in order to make $10. And of that $10, 3 of them will go to whoever routed it, if it hops through 3 of their pools.
And where we've seen a lot of success with that, with all transaction volume, especially if it's a taxable token, it allows you to, as a project, to incur extra revenue and take advantage of that volume generated by MEV bots, where it becomes a win-win situation for pretty much everybody involved in that ecosystem.
And one of the strategies that I found to be useful is when you have a tax token, setting your Uniswap pool with a very low fee, because when there's that 1% tax with a tax token, it raises the bar of how big the spread needs to be, because that spread needs to go several percentage points before a bot will attract in. Whereas if there's a low Uniswap fee, but the taxes are still nominal, the bots will run through them as opposed to waiting. I mean, you can also just let them sit. Eventually the spreads do make it, and then the bots will grow. It's just not as frequent.
Yeah, so one of the things I really enjoy about, of course, Jake Newman and a bunch of these other developers is the experimentation with these V3 pools and all these other techniques with these smart contracts that you can run in a live market on Polygon and really test out different hypotheses and see what works and what performs well, and then scale that up and when you can bring it to mainnet Ethereum.
And that's another thing. So testing on test nets, especially when you want to see how things behave, because it's one thing to see how your code behaves, it's another thing to see how the ecosystem behaves, how buyers behave. Polygon, I like to think about it, or any of these L2s, they're like a small fraction of Ethereum. So if they're behaving a certain way on Polygon, they'll most likely behave the same way on Ethereum, but with exponential volume. So I think it's because in a test net you can't really see.
You can't do the social experiment.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know how the market's going to react. You know how your software will react. You won't know how the market will react. So running things, testing on Polygon, the concept jives, bringing it to Ethereum, correcting whatever didn't pop, whatever mistakes you learned along the way in Polygon, trying to hype it and you do it. You now know exactly what to do when you bring it to Ethereum, and then that's when you have those hype launches. And it's for me, it's an advantage of doing that over the testnet. I mean, using Polygon or an L2 over testnet for that very reason.
Yeah, and testnet becomes mainly just for the actual contract code to see if there's any errors with the execution of it. And you can run those real quick, just run a couple on Gurley or Sepolia, you can run those real quick. Those it just test right through the different the different variations of ways to interact with the smart contract, and then you bring it to the live market on Polygon.
Yeah, and if it does well on Polygon, you've been paid to do your tests, and now you actually have some funding to throw into the Ethereum project as well. If it doesn't go well, you've lost less than $1 in minting and gas fees.
Yeah, it's crazy. So that's where we've seen a lot of just on I guess on the kind of more the forefront of cutting edge of this blockchain tech that we have available on Ethereum. A lot of that experimentation is going on these layer 2 chains. And so for project founders and teams, we highly recommend doing that.
And people who are trying to experiment with new standards by mashing good stuff up like the 404 guys did. No sense in, well, we could do it on Gorelli, I guess, but Polygon works too. So that's just another spot to smash things up and see how the standards work together or don't.
Yeah, so we appreciate y'all's time. Hopefully this was helpful, and we'll do some more of these and cover other topics. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, feel free to leave a comment below, and we can do some videos on that as well. So thank you, Jake. And
thanks for having me, Drew.
Yeah, and you'll have a good one.